Hi everybody, just a quick video update on the new 2021 Halloween events for DayZ, which you may well know have been running on the public servers, but Bohemia Interactive have not released the XMLs or the mission files to enable you to turn them on your private server. Well, that all changed yesterday. So now if you go to Bohemia Interactive's GitHub, they've got the extra Halloween Churnerus Plus and Halloween Enoch mission files, which is what we need. So if you want to have a go at putting the Halloween events or part of the Halloween events on your private community server, and this is for Xbox or PlayStation or PC, what you'll want to do is you want to go to their GitHub, and I'll put a link in the description below the video. Click on the code button and download the zip, and that will download the zip of everything, so you get Churnerus Plus and Enoch vanilla, and you get the Halloween files as well. And then when you get them, you want to extract the file. So extract here, and you'll get the economy master, and you'll see you get all these missions. And the one we're interested in is Halloween Churnerus Plus or Halloween Enoch, Enoch being the Livonia one. Now if you click into them, you'll notice that there's only the files that have been changed to deliver these Halloween events. So that's good. But the bad news is that because they're not giving us specific things in those Halloween events, it means you've got to look in all of them. So what do I mean? Well, for example, if you go into the DB file and go into the types file and open up in your favorite text editor, you'll see that it's the entire types file. This is interesting actually, because there is an ability apparently with the DayZ XMLs to just have files that adjust the main files, and they kind of encourage this started a couple of updates ago, but when I used to play around with it, I'd find that it didn't always work. And it's very interesting that they're not actually using that system here just to alter the things that they want to be altered. So but by what you can do is if you compare the vanilla files with the normal types, we can see that there's various changes, but for example, all of the witches event stuff, like the cauldron, they've been turned on. They've changed the cult there. What else have we got here? Ooh. Let's go down to this one. The pumpkin helmet has been turned into the seasonal event. So you see the seasonal event has been added. So you may well have these things turned on already in your server, but the seasonal event is a new one. So if we go over to events now, let's close that. We don't want to look at that. So if we just look at seasonal event, let's go back to the top. Find next. So we've now got infected seasonal zombies. In fact, I think that is it. Yeah. So you're going to have infected zombies spawning in and around the map. So as I say, the problem with this is instead of just having snippets that you can then copy and paste into your existing files, you've got to really use the whole files, which isn't a problem if you've got a vanilla server. But if you've got a server that has heavily modified XMLs, it can be a little bit tricky. However, you don't have to do everything. I think probably the critical file that you will be interested in is the cfgeffectarea.json file. And this is the one that adds all the spooky areas to the map, so the mist. So the cfgeffectarea.json, what that controls is the permanent contaminated zones at Riffy and at Pavlovo. So that's what you can see at the top. If we keep scrolling down, we can then see the spooky areas start to appear. So my advice to you would be, if you run a heavily modified XML fault server like I do, for example, for my Churnerus servers, I'm not going to go through and do all the changes that they've done to the other files. I'm not going to bother changing the wolf spawns and the zombie spawns and all that sort of stuff. But what I will do is I will just upload the cfgeffectarea.json, because at the moment I haven't done any edits to that at all, and by uploading that, you're going to get all these spooky areas added to the map. Now, this is what's also interesting. Actually, let me finish what I was saying. So what you'd want to do is you've got your cfgeffectarea.json. So you're going to want to go to your web server. This one should have started again. This is an Nitrado one. go into the file browser for the server, go into the mission file, and go into the Chernarus Plus, or it'll be Enoch, and then there's the cfgeffectarea.json. So you would upload that new file over the top of the other one and simply restart the server, and those spooky areas will appear. And I think that will be pretty cool. That will give you and give your players on your server those spooky areas that you can play around with. So to take a step back and just talk about these spooky areas for a second, what's very interesting is now we know how these spooky areas are triggered. And the spooky trigger, oh, it's really funny. So the spooky trigger, as far as I'm aware as well, it doesn't just trigger the spooky area, but it also, I think it triggers when you're in the area flies as well. So I think as you're going through the mist, there's various flies. But anyway, you'll have to tell me, because there's also effect trigger we've been using. So what we now have a very simple way of spawning in the graphic areas that give you that mist, the spooky mist. It'd be interesting to play around with that, to do that anyway. So there we go, my friends. That is how you can get the 2021 Halloween and Witches Night events working by downloading the files from the Bohemia Interactive GitHub and then uploading them to your server. But again, it's going to take a bit of work to suck all their changes out of the events and all the different files to combine them with your files if you want. I would suggest just using that the cfgeffectarea.json. I would just use that one, so you get the mist. And that's pretty spooky, because you've already probably got turned on things like the bonfires and the witches' hats and the witches' noses and all that sort of stuff. So there we go. What I will do is I will put a link in the description below the video to my video on how you can turn on things like the bonfires and the witches' noses as well from last year. And then if you combine that with the cfgeffectarea.json, I think you'll have quite a fun event to have. Anyway, there we go. That's enough from me. I hope you found that useful. If you have, hit the like button. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.